This episode is brought to you by the shows of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com. Whether it's true crime or film reviews, even TV series deep dives, the You Run Podcast Network has you covered. So go and check out yourunpodcast.com today.
And we're live. Today we are doing our first ever revisited episode, and on behalf of both me and Heather, before we hit our intro music, I want to give you a disclaimer, and this is that disclaimer.
That's boring. You're boring, everybody. Quit boring everyone.
It's actually me.
the clip recorded by Heather when she realised what we were doing. Anyway, Let's hit the intro.
Heather's raging, old news she screams. The newer cases are all that she dreams. We dive into cases both weird and grim, from Zodiac ciphers to Tiger King's whim. We're You Run Podcast, the oddball pair. We're pretty damn good to be fair. You Run Podcast, do true crime. Heather's ranting, skirts in denial. From Manson's madness to Tupac's case, we're serving up crime with a comical grace. We're digging up dirt with a wink and a nod. You Run Podcast, approved by God. Probably not.
Hello and welcome. I'll start again. Hold on. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to the You Run Podcast True Crime. As you will see if you are watching us on YouTube or watching us on Spotify, our format and layout has changed. Me and Heather now have no idea how this shit works, and it's like back to square one. My name is Scott,
and I'm Heather,
and we are your hosts each and every month, and we go through cases that you have requested for us to look into. You can get in touch with the show. You can send us an email, yourunpodcast@gmail.com, or record us an audio voicemail. You can do that on X or on Instagram. Just go to DMs, hold the microphone button down and speak. It's really, really that easy. There's not a lot of prelude into this. We done a recap episode before we took our hiatus where we spoke about the Jack the Ripper case files becoming available. Heather said, hell no, that shit be old. I don't want to be doing that. That'd be boring.
It'd be boring.
You all responded to that by pointing out that Heather on the original episode said she would like to do it. And Heather was given a choice of that or something else. And Heather went, do you know what? Fuck you guys. You could have what you wanted. And it can be boring. It's kind of where we are.
Whatever. You know what? It doesn't matter. It'll just be fun to chit chat about it. I think I thought I was curious, and then that thought left my mind, and I've never been less interested. But we're here now. We're about to do it. We're here.
Well, today we find out what's in these files that have been sealed for over 100 years. Well, kinda. More on that in a second. As we return to our first ever case, Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper was an unidentified serial killer in and around the Old Whitechapel district of London between 1888 and 1891. He is alleged to have had 5 female victims during this time: Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. The brutality of his crimes had never been seen before, spiking a media frenzy at the time. There were a lack of suspects and poor procedures, which left this case ultimately unsolved. Becoming one of the most popular true crime cases in history, Jack the Ripper has inspired countless movies, TV shows, and books that speculated to his identity. Even our coverage of this case offered new potential suspects and looked at things in a slightly different way. But in reality, everyone was taking educated guesses, because in the words of Heather, this case is old as fuck. Now, after almost a century and a half, 136 years to be exact, the case files have finally been declassified. On your request, we have been through the case again, and today we bring you the definitive Jack the Ripper episode. New victims, new suspects, and of course, new complaints from Heather about old cases, and why they are dull, boring, and annoying. This is the You Run Podcast, and this is Jack the Ripper, one more time.
Firstly, that was our little AI assistant Gladys. So if you listen to Horror Movie Review, you'll be familiar with her voice from there. She done a really good job of hyping the shit out of this episode, which is something that me and Heather can't do. Now,
No.
let's talk about getting access to declassified files. Firstly, we were misled by the press and the news because the files had not been declassified at all. I want to get that out there now. There was a police file from a man named Joseph Henry who served in the Met Police at the time of the crimes, and his family had passed his case files from generation to generation for the last 136 years. And in March this year, they went to auction. Now, the items sold to a private collector for somewhere north of £17,000, so around $24,000. I was not the bidder who won that. I was not bidding on that.
No.
One thing auction houses are incredibly good at is showcasing what they are selling, because they want people to see and fully understand what they're buying. In doing that, they inadvertently released the entire case file to everybody. So I do have the case file, but I didn't pay $23,000 for it. I just looked at it online. I've been able to dig up some other documents and some other case files that were sealed that I have found through nefarious means of Reddit and other subreddits and other places on the web. To put it into perspective, for this case, this revisited case, I have read over 4,000 documents.
You better than me.
Honestly, like, I started and I was going down this rabbit hole and I was like, oh, okay, this one's quite cool. Oh, it references another document. Oh, fuck, I need to go and find that document online now. I spent so long, like, trying to track stuff down. It is also a very old crime. So when you're looking at case files that date back to the 1800s, they are not written how we speak today. Ye old tavern.
No.
like the amount of stuff I read and then had to read it like 11 times to actually understand what they were saying.
Yeah.
Painful. Very
It's
painful.
like even if you watch Bridgerton, which I'm almost done with it, and I just found out that the season 4 won't be out for like over a year, and I literally am going to lose my fucking shit. But anyway, I'm almost done with season 3. But like how they talk, right? It's like the dialect of how they spoke then, more proper English.
Yeah.
You know? But it like, to me, it makes sense because also it's a TV show and it is a little modernized.
Yeah.
You can tell. But like, I get it. But this bullshit that you're talking about, no. I literally don't know how your brain is not bleeding from trying to...
It came close. Like, when I got through to reading some of the actual case notes...
Yeah.
And they're like a bit of note at the top of the page, then they've put lines through it and they've written another bit and then scribbled it out, and then there's an arrow down to another bit. I'm like, what are you even doing?
Well, because they didn't have whiteout. They couldn't just redo it or erase. I guess they didn't even have erasers maybe at that point because everything was like pen, right? Yeah, I don't think they had pencils. I don't know. Anyway, so ink. Dip it in the ink and you write it and then you scratch it out. But when you start writing arrows, if you know from taking notes, that shit be confusing. Because you're like, oh my God, where's my shit at?
Yeah. But I think I got somewhere. So we're going to give you a bit of a recap.
Okay.
So if you don't know who Jack the Ripper is, I don't know how that's possible.
You're fine.
But if you don't,
you're fine.
Head all the way back. So scroll back on whatever platform you're listening to our very, very first episode, which Heather joined us. You were a guest then. You weren't even a co-host. You were a guest.
I was a conspicuous guest because we knew that Heather was going to be. I was a trick guest. It was like, I know I'm going to have Heather on full time, but let me just see how she does, and she loves true crime.
Yeah, so we knew, but no one else did. But go back and listen to that episode, and we give you the full rundown on Jack the Ripper. If you're incredibly lazy and you don't want to do that, I'll give you a brief roundup here. So Jack the Ripper, as he was dubbed by the press, murdered 5 women in the Whitechapel area of London. Each time he killed, it got more and more gruesome, and he basically escalated his kills. There were no
Yeah.
real suspects to speak of. The murders stopped. There are so many different theories around this. Some people think that he was a member of the royal family. Others think that he was a butcher. There's theories that he went to the US and he become H.H. Holmes. Yeah, I know. Another case, if you want to go back and listen to another case,
My
Heather
God.
loved. We covered H.H. Holmes as well.
Which one's more boring? If we had a boring o-meter, like if that's something fun we could put on the video, right? You know?
Yeah, I
It'd be
think
like,
H.H. Holmes is worse.
I think it's more boring because it's not as like gruesome,
Yeah.
perhaps. But like even no. Anyway, continue. I need to stop.
Yeah, long and short of it, we are never ever going to know unless
No.
someone creates a time machine and we can go back and have a look. We're never going to know. But
No.
we are going to bring you some new bits today. We're going to bring you some new information, some new victims, some new suspects, some new documents. We're going to share what's in the case file that's been released. And we're also
Yeah.
going to play a game because even though me and Heather are recording this in September, it is our Christmas episode.
Man, I'm sorry for y'all. Y'all been on the naughty list. If y'all naughty, like literally. I'm just saying, like of all the things we could offer. I'm sorry. This is what you get.
Yeah. We know that Jack definitely killed 5 people. That's kind of
Yeah.
set in stone now. We know there was 5
Yeah.
victims. It's never really been up for debate. There are some potential other victims, and police didn't take them seriously or didn't link them or deliberately didn't want them linked. And I want to go through a couple of those because we never spoke about these on the previous case that we done.
Yeah.
So we've got Annie Millwood and Martha Tabram. So both of these would have been early attacks, and police now believe it was... They believe that it's more likely these were his kills because they weren't quite as advanced as the others. And modern day policing would say it's very difficult to go from nothing to successful serial killer without a couple of fumbled attempts first.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
these are
like
kind of...
like practice kills, right?
Yeah.
Like a sort of.
Yeah, so these are like Jack's practice kills. So Annie Millwood was admitted to a local infirmary in February 1888. She had a slash and stab wounds on her leg and abdomen. She said she was attacked by a man that she didn't know, but no police report was filed because this stuff just happened in 1888. The police were like, nah, well,
Yeah.
never mind. Now, what makes this one interesting is she died later that evening. She took a fall, in inverted commas, a fall.
Yeah.
The police said that her death was unexplained, and the inquest and autopsy decided that she died of natural causes. Last time I checked, a fall following slash wounds is not natural causes.
Yeah, again, like the way that the crimes were handled then makes sense that you know, oh, you fell down but you had a fucking knife through your neck. But it was the fall that did it.
Yeah, well,
It's so nuts to me that they can categorize it like that. I don't know.
it was wild. Martha has a very similar case. So in August 1888, only a few weeks before we got the first official Mary Nichols kill from Jack the Ripper, she was stabbed and killed, and she was found on the first floor landing of a building in Whitechapel. Police that described the attack as frenzied, with her being stabbed in the throat and abdomen. One of the police officers noting that it made him feel sick. This was put down as a murder and literally stamped unsolved, case closed. We won't bother with that anymore.
I mean, that's just how like I said, if you wanted to be a serial killer, that was, I guess, you would have wished to be born in the 1800s because they weren't going to find you. I mean, which is why these things become unsolved because we're just going on speculation, and they didn't have any technologies.
No.
Like, you could kill everybody. They wouldn't even know. Probably.
So those are the two early murders.
Yeah.
Now, the Ripper murders ended in November 1888, and the most common theory is he was either put in prison for something else or he died. But in 1892, there were two more murders which happened, which police done everything in their power not to link back to the Ripper murders that, as far as the public were concerned, ended 11 months ago. So Alice Mackenzie was discovered by police on the 17th of July at 1 a.m. She was on the side of the road. She'd had her throat slit. When the police got there, her body was still warm, and it is thought that the attacker was interrupted. And this is possible because the police increased their presence in that area because of Jack the Ripper. And everyone thinks that basically Jack slit her throat, then went to carry out the kill, then was disturbed and run away. There was nothing then until February, and this is when Frances Cole, a prostitute, was found again at the side of the road. Legs were crossed at her feet and her throat had been slit. When the police arrived, they could hear running footsteps when they got there. They did not pursue the running footsteps. In the police report it said something along the lines of a decision was made to stay with the body.
Yeah, but the body's dead. Okay, whatever. Like that, again, could you have possibly caught the perpetrator? Maybe. I don't know, but like you stayed with the person that was already deceased. Not that that's not important. These police back then, to have that job.
Easiest job. A policeman in the 1800s is the easiest job in the world. You turn up and go, dead. They died. It was, what shall I pick today? I'm going to go with murder. We have no leads. Case closed. I'm going to go on break. That was how it was.
Do you think they had donuts like American cops always say they have donuts? I bet they had crumpets, right? Is that like the thing? Tea and crumpets?
Tea and crumpets.
Or biscuits, which are cookies, right? In the UK?
Yeah.
They call cookies biscuits. Yeah, they didn't have donuts, but I don't even know if you guys have donuts. I'm sure you have donuts. Like, who doesn't have donuts?
We're fully Americanized here. We have Krispy Kreme donuts and everything.
Oh, I don't like Krispy Kreme, but that's just me. But I'm not a Krispy. We don't have one close, but we do have one in surrounding states. But I just don't like their donuts. But anyway,
yeah, we've got Krispy Kreme, and not that long ago in the city near where I live, they opened a Dunkin' Donuts, which I haven't been yet, but I will go.
Oh, Dunkin'. Oh gosh. It's better than Starbucks. I don't think you guys have a I don't know what you guys have and don't have.
We have
Starbucks.
Yeah.
So you're basically like fucking America, but you're just in the UK. Like y'all have everything pretty much.
We're like mini Texas.
You know why? It's because you guys probably have so many visitors, and the whole point of visiting another country to me is like you go for the culture, you go for the I've heard your food's not that great. I'm just going to let you know I heard that some of the food's not that great. But again, I don't know. But anyway, long story short, you go to try new things, but it's like, why do I want to go to McDonald's in the UK? Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem appealing to me.
No, but that's why we have so many foreign takeaways and things here, because our food isn't that great. That's why we eat lots of American food. Anyway, now we've attacked the UK delicacies. The following day, the Times published an article claiming the Ripper was back. The police held a press conference that day and basically said, no, that's not the case. It's gang violence and prostitution violence. That's the end of it. And they basically stuck a gag order on the press. They basically, after that press conference, the press were told, you will not print the words Jack the Ripper in a newspaper again. That's it, we're done now. Like, we solved that a year ago. We solved it. He stopped. That's the end. And
that's it.
Again, I find that wild, because if there was a modern day serial killer that had killed 5 people, potentially 7 people, and then there was a 2-year break and those kills started again, the press would be all over that until they were caught.
100%. But again, things are just different. Like, like obviously the way that policing worked, it's just versus it's just insane to me that all this stuff happened. You could get away with whatever, pretty much. And it could have been gang violence. It could have been stuff like that happened because, and I guess prostitution was pretty high then.
Yeah. I mean,
which seems so strange to me. I don't know why. It's like a weird concept in my mind where I think people in the 1800s, again, I'm going to talk about Bridgerton for a second, because it's so sexualized, right? Like Bridgerton is such a good show, and you see call girls or whatever, ladies of the night, whatever you'd like to call them. And you're like, and in Bridgerton, it's hot and steamy because there's like group sex things happening. And you're like,
yeah,
they did that. And to me, it blows my mind. I mean, I know that stuff like that's been happening for forever, but it's like to see it, you're like, okay.
Do you know the thing that always gets me, that I always find so difficult to process? So most of the prostitutes who worked in the Whitechapel area were streetwalkers, and these acts would take place on the streets. The clothing in the 1800s was designed with many, many, many layers. So even to
corsets?
Yeah, like
the corsets, like underwear was like, you had to have a code to get into it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Like, how do you make that happen? Because these things obviously take place in alleyways, and they need to move at a particular pace, just for the girl to be able to make a decent night living. There must be sort of a quick protocol to make, like, get these big frilly dresses up and over their heads. It's just bizarre.
Well, I wonder if some of them wore like what would have probably been taboo then, to where, because I don't know my history real well in that era, and I can't use it based off of Bridgerton because that's not historically accurate all the way. Anyways, so I don't know if they could have worn, like, maybe they had the absence of underwear. They didn't wear underwear, right? Maybe they wore like sexier clothing. I don't know specifically, but I do understand that what was available, it's not like they could go find them a sexy, tight-fitting dress. It was like, girl, Little House on the Prairie times 1,000. Like, you wearing a dress that's like... But I don't know how all that worked, but it's blows my balls off that like, sex work was so prevalent then because of societal standards there.
Yeah.
You would just think it was supposed to be so like hoity-toity to speak, and then it was like, well, a lot of that was going on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's mad. Honestly mad.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a man named Edward Buckley, who you will have never heard of. I hadn't heard of until I started digging into this case again. So there is an online sleuth, and I'm not going to name this online sleuth because I'm pretty much about to destroy his entire life's work. So he found a suspect, and this is a man named Edward Buckley. So he was the migrant worker of a cigar maker, and they lived in the Whitechapel area, and he had effectively a criminal organisation that he oversaw, and his sons were effectively the enforcers, and they used to do things like they had their hands in pickpocketing and protection and racketeering and prostitution. So they had their hands in kind of everything. Now, when this online sleuth was doing their investigation, he was working through the court records. So he's just taking court records of the time and seeing when the Buckleys arrived in court, which was very frequent for them, and how that tied into other cases in and around Jack the Ripper. Now, there are some links. Like, they frequented the same places as some of the prostitutes who Jack the Ripper killed. They frequented some of the bars. There is an incident where Buckley allegedly struck one of the prostitutes in the bar. But all of the links are really tenuous. It's like they were in the same place, potentially at the same time. And because there is enough of these, like 7 or 8 occurrences where these people will have crossed paths, this online sleuth has gone, that's Jack the Ripper. I'm like, but
Well,
but Doris, who drinks in the pub, who's 86 years old, like, she was in there every day. She knew all the girls. Was she Jack the Ripper? Like, I done some real digging into Edward Buckley, and he is a bad guy, like the worst guy in the world. And his sons are even worse. Like, they are, like, they will beat prostitutes. They will beat, like, people who don't pay. They will extort money. They had racketeering going through the shops. They were being paid protection money. They were bad people. But there is nothing that links them to these murders other than the fact that they lived in the Whitechapel area and they may have known some of the victims.
So everybody should have been a suspect then in the Whitechapel area.
Yeah.
Because you have to think, they didn't have a million bars to go to. They had these few pubs that would have been in the vicinity, and this is where everyone frequented. So it wouldn't have been, in my mind, as difficult to narrow things down some. And just because you're a shitty person doesn't make you a killer. Like, just because you do petty crimes doesn't mean that you're a killer. But that type of thinking did not seem to go through these police officers' minds. Like, any type of thinking went through their mind is what it seems like. So that's my thing, is like, well, everybody could have been a suspect. Well, we know it wasn't the 86-year-old woman, just because we know that wasn't it. But Jack the Ripper is so... Everybody just takes inspiration from stuff like that. And I'm like, how can you? Because we literally don't know, was Jack the Ripper actually a man? Most likely. Could it have been a woman? I think we talked about that. That was one of your crazy theories.
Jill the Ripper.
Yeah, Jill the Ripper. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about that. I think because I tried to forget about this stupid fucking boring case in general. But anyways, it's so open-ended that I don't know. I don't even know what else to say. It's just it's hard to wrap my brains around.
Well, what we'll do then is we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back and I'll tell you everything that's in this ridiculously expensive case file.
Make it fast. Oh, I would rather watch the original Friday the 13th 700 times. And that shit's boring as fuck.
Well, let's take a break.
Is.
And I'll edit that in later. So make sure you go to yourunpodcast.com. Check out all of the other members to the You Run Podcast Network. There is something for everyone on there. If you like true crime, you've got us, but you've also got the Paranormal Misfits, who look at the paranormal things and then they look at the true crime cases that led to the events that caused the people to die. There's entertainment podcasts on there. There's movie podcasts on there. There's literally something for everyone. So go and check out yourunpodcast.com. And while you're there, go and buy a t-shirt. That'd be a nice thing to do. And then maybe if you buy enough t-shirts, we can go back to the other streaming service we were using, and me and Heather won't be so confused by everything we're doing.
Well, it's not. It's just like, now I see where I can actually mess with my settings, but like, I ain't fucking with it right now, right? It's like it didn't pop up until then, and I'm like, well, we already started talking and doing. So I'm just like, oh, I hope this isn't a pain in the dick for you to have to edit, because I know you were not having to edit much on the other one. It was so clean, and we'll see.
Yeah, it was slick. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I do have some cool things that I can do with this, though. Like, I can do this.
Wait,
I couldn't do that
has
before.
Mark hasn't recorded with you yet on this?
No.
Oh my God,
No,
Scott!
yet.
He's going to leave the podcast. If you play that, he's going to leave. He's going to leave.
No, see, I've got one for Mark. Every time Mark tells a joke.
Good one, Shaggy. Okay.
Right, let's talk about this case file. So, the case file that's worth £17,000 or $23,500 is not worth that much money, in my humble opinion.
No, it's not worth any money. It should just be open to it's like hundreds of years old. Like, what are y'all doing?
Like, there's so much in it that's not even together anymore, where it's starting to degrade and fall apart.
Exactly.
So it's got 2 photographs of Michael Orstrog, who was an early suspect, like really early. We didn't even talk about him on our case because he was immediately excluded, because one of the kills happened, he was in prison. So we know it's not him.
So,
but it's got
he didn't do it.
It's got a photo of him in there, and I'll share the photo with you because he's a very handsome chap. There he is. That's Michael Ortog. He's
I'd be
got a
putting
beard.
my hand over my heart too if I look like that.
He's got a beard very similar
No.
to mine. Striking.
No,
Striking
well, my
gentleman.
husband has a beard similar to yours, but like y'all don't look like that.
No.
Beards don't help everybody, y'all.
So Orstrog was a Russian immigrant. He was a petty thief, a con artist, and he spent lots of time in prison and in a mental asylum. They've got notes on things that they investigated him for, some of his alias, a little bit of his criminal records in there as well. Like I say, he was ruled out as being a suspect because he was in prison for one of the kills and then in a mental asylum for one of the other kills, so it's definitely not him. We've also got a copy of the Dear Boss letter, which was a note that was sent to police, which was the first one that was signed off as Jack the Ripper. It's the first time the Ripper name was used. In this letter, he boasted about killing his female victims, warned that his knife was still nice and sharp, and promised to cut ladies' ears off. The original letter is held in the National Archives in London. And it's basically the original is a hoax. They're convinced the original letter is a hoax. But what is in this file that someone paid a fortune for is effectively a handwritten copy of the original letter. So it's not even the original, it's a handwritten like that. There's a handwritten copy.
It looked like
of the
somebody
original.
spilled coffee on it.
It is still 200
Y'all
or
get out of here.
138 years old.
I don't give a shit. I ain't spending it. No. If y'all have $23,000, let's say, I guess US dollars, and then 17,000, because I know the conversion is a little different. Y'all could do something else with that. Like, go buy something. Why are y'all buying that shit?
You buy a
Because
nice car.
you can't be
nice car.
trust. You could just do anything. You could go travel, go to some cool places, go where Jack the Ripper killed all these people. Go to Whitechapel. Is that still there?
No,
I guess so.
Whitechapel's not there anymore.
It's not there, but maybe is it different or is it just?
It's different. They leveled the area and rebuilt the area in a different way. So when you do Jack the
We
Ripper
could still
tours,
go, and you could
Yeah.
just. Yeah, I mean, like it'd still be like you're there. Obviously, 200 plus years ago, it would be the landscape would have been different.
Yes, so I know when they do the Ripper tours now, what they do is they take you like into a car park, and they're like, "This is once the great high street of Whitechapel." All these tourists are going,
Oh, we don't
yes,
know
this is-
that. I want proof. I want proof. No, y'all ain't getting me. You're not getting me. Nope. I gotta make sure. Because you gotta pay money for that shit, and like unless you do your research. Don't pay attention to things. It's like you could be getting scammed for your money. Like they could have just thought this is where it happened, and what if it was like not quite the area? I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah. There's also a very grim photograph of Mary Ann Nichols in the morgue. It's a slightly different angle of the morgue photo that everyone's seen that's already released. I'm not going to show it because there's no point.
Damn it.
Now, Inspector Helson, whose case this was, whose case files these were, he worked on the murder of Mary Ann Nichols, who was the first victim. He was removed from the case because he didn't get anywhere. So, like, his investigation is just the first bit. I have got a photo of the full collection so you can see what prompted people to spend so much money. And if you're watching on YouTube or watching on Spotify, you can also see what made people part with a small a deposit for a small house. This is what they paid for.
Look, I'm not trying to tell people how to spend their money, but like if y'all want to do it on stupid shit, send it to me. I will link you my address. Like I ain't even scared of you, because if you that fucking stupid, you ain't gonna come kill me. Just send me the money. I split it with Scott. There we go. We could just go travel or buy or fix our houses up or make home improvements or whatever.
Yeah.
Stick it up our ass. That would be more interesting.
We are going to end the case there because there's no new evidence. There's nothing in this case file.
No.
The full Met
Sorry,
report
guys.
is never, ever, ever going to be released. I just saw they've won an appeal to keep it sealed for another 40 years. So
Which makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Why does it fucking matter to keep it sealed?
The only reason it would stay sealed is if it incriminates a member of the royal family. That is the only reason.
Whatever.
Or now it's just gone on so long now. Maybe it's just the Met Police are now just fucking with people and they think it's quite funny. Now we'll fight it again. We'll just keep it sealed.
It's just like something for somebody to be petty over. Like it sounds kind of ridiculous because it would be a part of like history. So like why not have it? Like what if someone's like, I want to do a thesis on Jack the Ripper. Something's wrong with you maybe, but like what if you do?
Yeah.
And I just think it's crazy to not allow people the access to information because these people no longer exist in this mortal coil. Okay? Everybody, they dead. DED dead.
Yeah,
so it's like, it's not affecting.
A long time.
Exactly. It's not affecting. And you can get all these other history and artifacts and then they're just trying to make money off of it. It's like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of shady. I don't really like the way it's handled.
No. Should we brighten things up as it is our Christmas episode?
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And a Happy New Year.
That's for you, Jack the Ripper. Bam.
We don't play games very often on True Crime because it's not
no,
really.
we don't.
It's not really something you can like. We can't talk about Jeffrey Dahmer and then go, "Let's play a really fun game" because it doesn't work.
No,
but when we're talking,
not really.
When we're talking about something that's 136 years ago, and it kind of doesn't matter to the world in any way, shape or form anymore, we can kind of do what we like because we're not going to be upsetting the families of the victims. We're not going to be upsetting the families of the killer or the police or anything else.
Yeah.
So I tried to come up with a game to play.
Okay.
And I come up with something. So do you remember when you were a kid, you used to play a game called Guess Who? Where you used to
like
flip
the board
down...
game, like the
where you used to flip down
where you flip the people. Yeah. I have it now. I still own it.
Oh wow! So this is kind of like that. So it's like Guess Who, but slightly different. So I'm going to be showing you pictures on the screen, and these are famous actors and actresses portraying serial killers. There's 10 of these, and all you need to do when I show you the photo is tell me what serial killer they are portraying. Some of these
not their actor name.
No, it even says their actor name on the image, so you get.
So just the serial killer.
Just the serial killer. Some of these are really easy, others are really hard.
I bet you I'm not gonna do 100%, and then people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's your true crime," and I'm gonna say, "Well, why don't you stick a Coke bottle up your ass and leave me alone? I'm pregnant, and my fucking memory is like a dead dog. Like I'm literally Scott. I lost my purse the other day. Okay, I was in my house. I had not left. I fucking lost my shit for 30 minutes. Guess where my purse was at? In the fucking spot it always should be. That's how bad, like, I just can't, I can't remember. So, forgive me if I
The worst I've ever done is I spent 15 minutes looking for my glasses that were on my head.
No, I've done shit like that. Sunglasses, I will panic. I set them right up here on the top. And so, like, I'm walking around the house and I'm like, where the fuck are my sunglasses? And they're so lightweight, I don't feel them behind my ear, or they're in my hair. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't have anybody in my immediate family or anything that has any dementia, Alzheimer's. But I'm like, it's the baby.
Yeah.
This baby done it's like a zombie baby eating my brains.
Well, what we'll
telling
do
y'all.
then, we'll start you off with a really easy one.
That's
So,
fine. I'm not
this
worried
is-
about it because I don't care. It's fine.
Yeah, well, here's your first one.
Oh God! You just made me go. It's the Night Stalker. Jesus. Why is that right?
Yeah, so that's Zach Villa. He played Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker in
Yes!
I think, American Horror Story. And
American Horror Story, and he was
and
so
he looks-
fine because
Yeah, but Richard Ramirez is not that hot. Not even close.
fuck no. He like
And they
ugh, he was so ugly, y'all.
but when they cast him for American Horror Story, they literally picked
looks
the
like him.
hottest guy with dark hair.
Oh.
I went, you can be the Night Stalker.
Richard
right,
Ramirez, yes.
next one up. You're going to get all gooey over this one, I think.
Am I? Oh, that's Jeffrey Dahmer. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. That series was so fucking good. I have not seen a true crime series that was like where they could have picked a better person, even slightly resembled Jeffrey Dahmer, even though Evan Peters can get it. He's hot. I cried during some parts because it made you feel bad for him, especially towards the end when you see what happened to him in prison. Yes, he's a bad person, and it's not like, oh, I feel sorry for him, but like you low-key did. Anyway, so good.
You're doing good. You got 2 for 2. They do
I
get
got
a
2.
little. You got 2 out of 10 so far. So let's go with the next one.
Oh, that's Ted Bundy, and he can get. Y'all know I like Zac Efron.
So what it turns out is that Heather likes people who look like serial killers.
I mean, well, my husband kind of resembles Bruce Campbell's sans beard when he doesn't have a beard. Well, I'll just share a photo. He looks a lot like Mr. Groovy Pants behind me. He looks a lot like him freakishly. So
does.
I don't know. Maybe I just like skinny killer types. I don't know.
Well, I think this one we're safe that this
Might get
one
me.
won't get it from you. I don't think.
Okay,
Let's try.
maybe. Oh, Eileen Warnos, and no, she can't get it because she wasn't a very pretty woman. I hate to say that, but
They done such a good
She-
job to make Charlize Theron look bad because she's incredibly hot.
Oh,
and they
she's
made her-
gorgeous. No, she's not even hot. You can't even say that. She's like beautiful, right?
Yeah.
She's has almost a perfect face. But yeah, like, oh. But the real life, no ma'am.
Again, a lot of these are cases. If you're first time listener here, go back and you'll find all of these cases. We've covered pretty much all of them. I don't think we've covered this one though.
Oh shit. You're gonna get me on that because I don't know that actor. I don't think. I won't be able to even guess because if we haven't done it, and he doesn't look like anybody to me. I'm trying to think, but like he doesn't stick out.
That was Dominic West playing Fred West. He done an excellent job.
But
playing
he
Fred
doesn't.
West.
But he doesn't. Fred West was a peculiar looking man with
Yeah.
kind of bunny rabbit features. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
think that they could have used somebody a tad older. I know who Fred West is, you guys. Fred
Yeah.
and Mary. Is it Mary and Fred West? Or
Fred and
whatever her
Rose
name.
West.
His wife.
Rose.
Rose. That's right. Rosemary, I think, was actually her name.
Yeah.
That's a just fucking creepy case. But anyways,
Yeah.
they needed
That needs
somebody
to
a
go in
tad older.
That needs to go in a poll at some point. As
That's a
horrible as
horrible
that case
case.
is.
Yes.
Speaking of horrible cases, who's this?
Is that John Wayne Gacy?
It is, and he looks nothing like. I don't know why they cast him. as
I
Gacy,
don't know
'cause he
why
looks
they
nothing
used
like
that
him.
dude.
Nothing
I
like
just-
him at all.
The only thing that made me think that is because he's a bigger, white, cis-looking dude. They could have picked some. I know somebody right off the top of my head. Now I can't remember their name, but like I know someone off the top of my head that would have made a better. Like I'd have to Google his picture, but ew,
do you know
dude is no.
Do you know? I think it would do a really good John Wayne Gacy, and this isn't me saying the guys like him at all. Jonah Hill. Give Jonah Hill a serious role. Because he's
the
actually
way
a
that
very
he
good
looks
actor.
now. No, he is. But like the whole look he's got going on now, it could work.
Yeah.
He looks a lot different now. Like because he lost a ton of weight. So we're talking about super bad Jonah Hill as opposed to
Yeah.
like the new Jonah Hill. Super bad Jonah Hill would have done better if they aged him up.
Yeah.
But like new Jonah Hill is like hipster. I don't know what's going on.
This next one is
Okay.
arguably the closest you're going to get to someone looking like who they're meant to be. So if you don't get this one, I'm genuinely going to be shocked. And we've done the case as well.
Oh, that's great. Son of Sam.
It is David Berkowitz.
But
and
I can't.
Oliver Cooper.
Yeah, I couldn't
looks-
think of his first name. Oh, he looks just like him.
Yeah,
They fixed his nose. They prosthetic for sure. But like that, he looks. And I couldn't think it. David Berkowitz. I could not think of the actual name, so I'm always going to give the serial killer alter ego because
Yeah.
sometimes I forget. Because you don't hear when you go to look up these cases, they're like Son of Sam. Most people are not like David Berkowitz. I mean, they will. But nobody cares about that. They're just like Son of Sam because it's easy for pop culture to remember. But that's very spot on.
very spot on. You've got
Yeah.
3 left. I'm going to give you the
Let's
easiest
see.
one first. So this is the easiest one.
Uh-oh. I know who it is. It's her with the fellow killer. With her.
We've done it as well.
I know. I don't know her name. I know who it is.
Myra Hindley.
No. God, you didn't give me a second. I was trying to say it. I was like Mary, but she was with the guy though. They were
Yeah.
partnered up, raping.
Yeah.
She raped her or had her sister raped and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, awful case.
Myra is a weird name for me to remember, but I was like Mary. Sorry, not my friend Mary, but I was close.
Yeah, no, your friend Mary is nothing like Myra Hindley in any way, shape, or form.
No, absolutely not.
These are the 2 hardest. They are both very well-known serial killers. We haven't done either on the show.
Oh, great.
And we've deliberately avoided these cases. Well, I've deliberately avoided these cases.
See, you give me these little teasers, damn it,
but-
and it's going to
but
make me my mind go.
But now I'm putting them out into the world. Someone's going to request these cases. So let's
Probably,
go
that's fine.
with this one first.
It's not Gary Ridgway, is it?
No.
Gary, the Green.
Close. No, it's not the Green River Killer.
Oh my God! No, hold on. Just tell me. It's going to drive me crazy.
Edward Kemper.
I swear to God, I swear that was going to be my next guess because I was like, who is that other fucker that looks like that?
Yeah, and the Kemper case is bad. Like,
Oh, it's
bad
horrible. But so is Ridgway. Gary Ridgway,
Yeah.
that one's fucking atrocious too. And for some reason it gave me a slight hint, but the Kemper, I see it now way more. So, damn it.
Your last one. This one
Okay.
you may not have seen this adaptation of it because this is very much a British serial killer.
Oh,
this
it's probably
is
going to stick me a little bit.
this is our equivalent of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh my God. He's in Doctor Who, right?
He is.
Is he
That's
Doctor
David
Who?
Tennant.
Yeah. You know what? He gives me those Gary Ridgway vibes. I know that's not him, but I'm going to be honest with you. Most serial killers are so much more prevalent in the U.S., so you just don't hear about a lot of British, you know, Australian, any kind of stuff. So I don't know. That one I 100% couldn't have guessed.
So that one is Dennis Nielsen. Dennis Nielsen was a serial killer in Scotland who killed
That
male
name.
victims that he met on dating sites and then cut them up into little pieces and flushed them down his toilet. And he got caught because he blocked his drain with body parts. Yeah, he's bad. He's Dharma levels of insanity.
He's well, because apparently if he was only seeking out male victims, I don't know if it was like for sexual reasons,
exactly,
possibly, right?
So
it was like
Dharma
Dahmer.
would have been. They'd have been best of friends. Like they would have had.
He would have had just like Dahmer, crock pot full of penises, and they would have been like, "It's potluck day. You bring the balls, I'll bring the penises." Like Jesus.
Bad.
Okay, I didn't do terrible. Like. You got me on that last one for sure, because I don't know a ton of UK serial killers, but there's also not a ton of them.
No.
That's why you don't live here in America, because there's a lot of them.
Well, I read something. They reckon at the moment there's 5 active serial killers in the UK, which, given how small we are, is terrifying.
It is, but they're not going to get you. You're too far out. We're not going to disclose, obviously, where you live, but you be living in isolation. They ain't going to get you. You hear them coming. They won't get you.
Yeah, I'll see them as they come.
And you have that little dog.
Yeah.
You got that little yappy dog. You know that dog is good. Let me tell you something. Best security ever, people. Don't get no big dog. Get you a little ass dog. They will. Ain't nobody coming to get you.
So that was our fun game for our Christmas episode. I've got one more Christmas sound effect to play, so I'm going to play you that. And it turns out perfectly because Heather mentioned a dog, so...
It's the most wonderful dog
God.
of the year.
Ew. Pitchy.
We wanted to take a minute and say thank you to everyone returning to the show to listen after we had a hiatus. It really means a lot. We know the show is not as interactive as it has been. That's something we are going to sort out, but at the moment we're pre-recording a lot because Heather's going away to have a baby, so we want to make sure that there's content there for you, but we're going to get some more interactive stuff back. Like one of the things that I'm really enjoying about pre-recording is like we're doing this in September and this comes out in December.
Yes.
But what I've been able to do in the meantime is I've been able to take all of our old episodes that we've recorded, and all of those are now on YouTube. And we've been... So from the 1st of October, we've been releasing an episode a week on YouTube to this whole new audience who's never seen it before for the last... from the 1st of October right through till when they catch up with us, which is really cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Next year, we are going to be back and... do you want to do the NVIXM perverts, or do you want to just pick a case and we'll put a poll out for a case?
I want to pick a. We need to put a poll out. I just feel like that case is like not as interesting. Not saying that it doesn't have any kind of aspects, but to be honest with you, that it's just really heavily a lot of just sexual abuse. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is, because that was the guy's a fucking, I don't even know what the right word is to describe this man, but you could just watch a documentary on it, and I just feel like that is a case that we could potentially still need to do, but I think that if we're going to start the year off, we need to start the year off with like a bang. And to me, that one's sort of just a filler, like we'll just do this episode in the middle of the year kind of shit.
So
Whatever.
should we dig through the remaining really bad serial killers and bang out a poll with that? Yeah.
We got to bring it in full force, man. 2025. And I got to wait on Bridgerton for like a long time. I need something to distract my brains, bruh. And then a baby on top of that.
Well, that's what's coming then. Heather's getting a baby. You're getting a really extreme case in the 1st of January.
Yeah.
We hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. Be kind to your families, open presents, indulge in food, wine, celebrate, do all the really nice stuff.
Yes.
And Heather can now say goodbye for us, and we'll be back in January with a brand new horrific case that's going to cause me emotional trauma.
It's not emotional damage. You'll be totally fine, Scott. Look, you have gone this far. We've gotten, excuse me, we've gotten this far into true crime, and it's like, you're fine. You're getting used to it. You're kind of like just immune to it now at this point. But anyways, you guys, I want to follow off of what Scott said, I hope that you guys all have a really happy Christmas, a happy New Year, that 2025 brings you lots of monies and lots of just everything, happy energy. And I don't know what else to say except for that, but stay safe, stay spooky, and we'll see you in 2025, bitches. Bye.
Bye.
Heather's raging, old news she screams. The new word chases are all that she dreams. We dive into cases both weird and grim, from Zodiac ciphers to Tiger King's whim. Where You Run podcast, the oddball pair. We're pretty damn good to be fair. You Run podcast, do true crime. Heather's ranting, Scott's in denial. From Manson's madness to Tupac's case, we're serving up crime with a comical grace. We're digging up dirt with a wink and a nod. You Run podcast, approved by God. Probably not. Scott's like, can we talk about movies? Heather's yelling, no, it's time to do this. We're trapped in a world of murder and gore, but hey, at least we've got podcast galore. Toolbox killers a chilling affair, but we're adding our humor to ease up. You Run podcast, do true crime. Heather's ranting, Scott's in denial. From Manson's madness to Tupac's case, we're serving up crime with a comical grace. We're digging up dirt with a wink and a nod. You Run podcast, approved by God. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. Scott's like, can we talk about movies? Heather's yelling, no, it's time to do this. We're trapped in a world of murder and gore, but hey, at least we've got podcast galore. Toolbox killers a chilling affair, but we're adding our humor to ease up. You Run